runs a multinational company, he likes fast cars, he loves a challenge. He's only in his 30s, but when it comes to taking tough decisions, he can be ruthless. He is, of course, the chairman and managing director of Raymond's, but today he's also my guest. His name is Gautam Singhania. Welcome to the program, Gautam.
Thank you.
Your friends say that today he might be the serious, sober chairman of Raymond's, but ask him what he was like as a child. So tell me, what were you like?
Like any normal kid who went out to school, went out, had fun with his friends, came home, studied, tried to pass exams.
They say that you went to a school in Bombay called St. Mary's, which was quite a rough and tough place. How did the pin-suited company chairman fit in there?
Well, it was a good school. I think it's the best school that I had. My foundation was laid there. There was no difference between your surname and your name. I mean, people didn't differentiate between who you were. And it was great fun because everybody...
So you weren't Mr. Singhania's rich little boy there?
Thank God. And it was just that everybody grew up as friends, everybody grew up as equals. You had problems, you sorted them out with each other. There were no special favors for you.
You know, you say you sorted out your problems with each other. Quite often you had to sort them out with fisticuffs, didn't you?
Well, a little bit. It was a boys' school, and I guess fisticuffs happen in all boys' schools.
They said that there was one thing he definitely wasn't. He wasn't a sissy. He could stand up for himself any time.
Thanks.
But when you changed to Cathedral, that was quite a different school. Was that a bit of a problem to change?
Well, Cathedral had more rules. It was more social. It was everybody's who's who was there. You could not do the fisticuff sorting out. And
did you try it ever?
Well, I think on my first day I did.
What happened?
I got reported to the principal, and they're like, you know, you don't do this kind of thing in this kind of school. I said, listen, we're boys, come on.
And what did the principal say?
Well, I was given a warning.
Were you ever a bully at school?
No.
Just tough?
I just made a lot of friends.
I'm told that you were full of pranks, that if ever there was someone playing a joke, it was bound to be Gautam Singhania.
Well, I played a few.
Such as?
Well, all over the place. There's no particular one, but I guess pranks is part of growing up.
They said to me when I was talking to your friends, they said, quote the line, "Babu, Babu, little man, reach the duster if you can."
Well, similar, because I guess I was the one playing the pranks. It got associated to me, but I think the whole school did it to this maths teacher because he was a short guy who couldn't reach the duster, and I think every class did it to him.
So you would sit in the back row shouting, "Babu, Babu, reach the duster."
No, it was normally written on the board by the class.
Your father began to introduce you to the world of industry and business when you were only still at college. Do you remember how he did it?
Well, I remember towards the end of my schooling, in the vacations, one used to go to the factories to try and learn the ropes of what's going on.
Were you enthusiastic, or was he having to push you and coerce you?
I guess a bit of both, because you were young and you wanted to go on a holiday, but you had to go and learn what your business was about. I guess at that time one didn't appreciate the value of it. Today one certainly does. And then slowly, over a period of time, he said, you sit with me, just observe what I do, how I deal with people, what work is all about.
So in a real sense, you actually learnt business and running a company sitting metaphorically at your father's feet?
Well, yes. He's taught me everything there is.
In 1987 September, you became the CEO of the Indian Post. You were barely 22 at the time. Was that very daunting?
Well, it so happened that it was the 5th of September, 87 to be precise, and the CEO then quit. And I was sitting with my father, and he said that, listen, why don't you run this? And it was daunting, I mean, to become a CEO. And he said that, no, you're a Marwadi boy, you understand numbers, you understand money, just sit there, I'm here. And he gave me a tremendous amount of support.
But did you have any inkling that he was going to make this suggestion?
No.
None whatsoever?
No, because we didn't know the CEO was going to quit that day.
And so straight out of the blue, faced with the problem, he looked at his son, he said, take over.
Yeah. And I guess when you're faced with a situation like that, you rise to the challenge.
Do you remember what you did next?
Well, I was there looking through some papers and trying to find my feet.
You found it very quickly because over a period of a couple of years, you decided the paper had to close down. With hindsight, everyone says that that was the right decision. But when you took it, was it difficult to take?
Well, the paper did not close down. We had two choices, to close it down or to sell it. We chose the second. We sold it because the dream was to at least see this paper, this baby that we gave birth to see it grow. Unfortunately, it didn't happen so.
Did it hurt to have to part with your own dream and see it change hands?
It certainly did.
And is that when you began to acquire this reputation for being really pretty ruthless when it comes to tough decisions?
Well, you're in the business of making money, and I think that has to be the main focus.
But you know, at 24 to have to take a decision to sell something that's almost a family dream is pretty tough. I mean, did you have to steel yourself?
We had two choices, whether we wanted to sell it or we wanted to close it down, and we figured that the better option was to sell it. And we had a long-term view that if the paper eventually did become something, it was something that you started, and that would give you a tremendous sense of pride.
So pride would stay with the association even if the ownership didn't continue?
Certainly.
From newspapers, you switched to condoms, and I gather the idea was completely your father's. Tell me something. What made him think that his little son understood condoms?
Well, I didn't. It was, at the time we had just sold the paper. We had an opportunity to get into a business, which was condoms. He said, "You're a bachelor, you come here and you handle this business." And I said, "But then, I mean, if you're going to sell condoms, then let me do it my way." And which is when we decided, we got a team together and we said we're going to sell condoms, which is when the birth of Kama Sutra happened.
You know, you're absolutely right when you said, let it do it my way. Your way of selling condoms was the most amazingly, radically different way. What exactly was it?
Well, we were selling condoms.
You were doing more than that. You were actually coining a slogan.
Yes, it was for the pleasure of making love. Till that time, condoms were sold fundamentally for family planning. And it was a taboo subject. People kept it in the closet. And how do you sell a product if you're not going to talk about it? So if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it.
Where did the idea come from? Was that an idea given to you by an advertising agency? Or did you actually say to yourself, listen, we're missing a trick here?
No, I think it was a team effort. And everybody got together and said, if we want to sell condoms, this is the best strategy. And hindsight, I think that strategy worked amazingly well.
In fact, I remember that slogan, for the pleasure of making love. Who dreamt that up?
It was the agency.
Agency. And when you came up with this idea, did you have to get approval for this particular approach, or?
Yes, I did. We as a family, we worked together, we discussed it. But
any raised eyebrows, any hesitation?
Well, he supported it, and rest is history, I guess.
The rest is condoms as well. Now, in 1999, you became managing director of Raymond's. You were 33 at the time. Were you a bit taken by surprise, or were you secretly hoping for it?
Well, I think over a period of time I'd been groomed for it. My father decided, and then with great credit to him, that it's time he stepped down. He said, I'll do it in 2 stages. I'll step down as managing director. I want you to take more responsibility and come up front. Which is when I was very happy that he took that decision.
But it was a very unusual decision because he was barely in his 60s at the time, and most people consider that prime of life. An Indian businessman very rarely stepped down. So when he first proposed the idea,
I think it was highly creditable. How many fathers step down at the age of 61, 62 and say they've had a great innings? So I mean, full marks for that.
And after he stepped down, was he there behind you to give you advice, or did he completely leave you to do exactly as you want?
He's yet there behind me to give me advice,
but
and I respect it.
But the bottom line this time is that you carry the can. It's your decision that counts.
Well, I always consult him on what I do. Yes, the buck stops here. But at the end of the day, he's my father. He's got tremendous amount of experience. And I do consult him on various subjects.
But you know, again, the daunting thing is suddenly the buck stops with you, and you took over the company and you undertook a series of restructurings. You sold off, in fact, major parts of the family empire. Did that ever feel as if you were perhaps rubbing out your father's legacy?
No, he was party to these decisions. We've done it in consultation with each other. So there's absolutely nothing of that sort. We have done actually what we believe is best for the business.
Was there any opposition? Because in quick succession, I believe you sold off synthetics, then you sold off cement, then you sold off steel.
I think having done it in quick succession and having done it with the speed that we did it with has paid us good dividends.
So would you say that the secret is to make your mind up and stick to it, and then act and implement quickly?
Of course. I mean, if you've taken a decision, then just go out and find the means to implement that decision. And,
don't dally.
No. We were focused. We were very focused, and 18 months ago we decided we're going to do these things. I don't think anybody believed us that time. They said, yeah, these guys will do it. And 18 months down the line, I think we're taken a little more seriously today.
It wasn't just that they didn't believe you at the time. Looking at the cuttings, people said, he's young, he's enthusiastic, but in a sense he hasn't been broken in. Will he be able to deliver? And you took them by surprise when you did, and you delivered very quickly.
That was the objective, and we had a target. We had to reach it.
But were you also just a little proving yourself? Were you also determined to prove the critics wrong, the doubters who had said he's too young?
Well, people will say all kinds of things, I guess. I guess you have to make up your mind what you want to do, and then just find the means to achieve those objectives.
So do you believe a lot in yourself? Do you have that conviction in yourself? That
Yes, if you make up your mind to do something, then you have to really find a way to do it.
You know, go back to those early days when you first took over as CEO of India Post. What lessons did you learn then that are standing you in good stead today as chairman of the company?
I think mainly with the Indian Post, the biggest lesson I learned was to sell that business. I mean, today we've done 3 divestments, and we've done a few over the decade. It really taught you that if it's not working for you, it could work for somebody else. If you're getting value out of it, look at what you are getting in it for yourself.
Of course, the other lesson attached to that is don't let yourself get emotionally committed to something. Keep looking at it rationally.
True. I mean, you have to really be on focus of what you want to do.
But isn't that difficult in family empires where the emotional attachment because of the family concern is so great?
I think to a great extent with my father and myself, because he decided to move, and I think I was able to convince him that let's get out of this. Here is the value. This is what we can do for the group. This is what we can do for Raymond. And this is how we will become long-term players.
Was it tough convincing?
Well, it has its ups and downs, but at the end of the day, the results count.
And at the end of the day, you convinced him because actually you had been able to convince yourself.
Yes.
So it was your self-belief that convinced him.
Well, I think it was a team effort. I think everybody played their bit in it.
Let's take a break there, Gautam. I want to come back in part 2 and try and get to know the man behind the company chairman. Not Mr. Singhania this time, but plain simple Gautam. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stick with us. Welcome back. My guest is Gautam Singhania. Gautam, let's talk a little about your personal life. 2 years ago, you got married to your wife, Nawaz, but I gather you first saw her almost 10 years ago, and it happened in pretty unusual circumstances.
Well, I was with a friend. We were at a nightclub in Bombay. It was pretty late at night, and I saw her sitting at the bar, and I don't know, something just told me. I said, my friend, you see that girl? I'm going to marry her one day.
Just like that?
Just like that. And he said, listen, I think it's time we go home. It's 1:30 in the morning.
He thought you'd had one too many.
Yeah, it was something like that. And then I said, no, I'm going to go and find out who she is, which I did.
So you walked up to this girl you'd never met before?
Yep.
And what did you say?
She was sitting with a friend of mine, and got myself introduced, got to know each other, and here we are 10 years down the line, we are married.
The amazing thing is that you were absolutely determined to marry her at first sight, but it took her several years to make up her mind and come to the same decision, didn't it?
Well, I guess the first day one said, yeah, that's the girl you want to marry, but then you get to know each other, you take your time, and like she says, you dip your feet in, see how hot the water is, and you don't want to jump into a boiling hot pot or something.
But did it take a lot of effort on your part to convince Nawaz that you were the man for her?
I guess you don't have to convince each other. It's just both of us decided that we want to marry each other.
You clicked?
Yeah. I think we clicked on day one.
You know, listening to you talk, I get the impression that you're quite an outgoing person, and the one thing you're definitely not is shy. Am I right?
Well, well, I guess so.
Your friends also say that he can be quite flamboyant when he wants to be.
Well, it depends on the definition of flamboyant. Yeah, but yes, I am an outgoing person. I like to enjoy my life. I work very hard, and when I enjoy myself, I like to enjoy myself equally.
And sticking with what your friends say, they also say that given a chance, he prefers to be the center of attention.
Well, sometimes when the guys are together, we have some fun.
I am also told that you're a great outdoor person, and you respond brilliantly to challenges.
Well, I like challenges. It's fun.
Recently you were in Switzerland, weren't you, and you taught yourself how to ski in the snow on day one.
Well, it wasn't on day one, but my wife said, let's go learn, and we were both a little apprehensive whether we will break a leg or something, but I guess it was a challenge. We went and we learned how to ski.
How long did it take?
About 4 days.
4 days?
Yeah.
And now, are you fairly competent at skiing?
Well, we're going down the blue slopes, and we could have gone
Jumping
down,
off cliffs?
well, in a hang glider. That was it. We were coming down, and there was a hang glider there, and I said, I'm not jumping off this cliff. And she said, no, go ahead. So I said, really? Was it scary? And, no, okay. So we jumped off the cliff.
There's another amazing story that you went on a holiday to the Maldives and you got challenged to teach yourself water skiing, and again you went and learned it in a day.
Yes, we did. It's good fun. I mean, there's nothing like you can't do it. If you set your mind to something, you can do it. And it's just that little bit of hump that you've got to overcome.
Are
It's
you a
an attitude.
daredevil?
For me, yeah.
Well, where does it come from?
I guess it's in my genes.
Because most children of rich parents are brought up protectively and they tend not to be daredevils. You seem to be the opposite of that.
Well, I started off being a daredevil at a young age when I started off with motor racing. So it's just the thrill. You live for the thrill.
That's another great ambition you have, to be, in fact, a Formula One driver.
It was an ambition. I don't think I could ever do that and balance it with my business. At one point in my life, I decided that no, racing is going to be a pleasure. It's never going to become serious for me.
But it wasn't ambitious when you were young.
Of course, I guess every kid who's a racing driver wants to be a Formula One driver.
I gather that it all began when you used to hang out with your friends and chums outside Breach Candy Hospital.
Not Breach Candy Hospital, it was at Scandal Point, what they called, where everybody who had a car used to come, used to tinker around, just race them a bit, have some fun, drive them like crazy.
Do you remember Fiat 6806?
Where did you get that? Well, that was my first car that was given to me when I was 18. And boy, that car took a lot of beating.
What was it? Was it just one of those small little 1100s?
Yeah, 1100 Premier Padmanis. That's what it was when we started with it. When we finished it, it was something completely different.
You took it into several rallies, didn't you? And you won several trophies with it.
That was a lot of fun.
Did you enjoy those days more than, say, the discipline and the straight-jacketed, suit-wearing look that you now have to adopt?
I guess in life, at whichever stage you are, you must find enjoyment in what you're doing. Otherwise, you're wasting your time doing it. So what I'm doing today gives me a tremendous amount of pleasure, tremendous amount of satisfaction. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
And you've been able to transfer all the enthusiasm that you had for challenges and fast car driving into now being a company chairman who sits behind a desk.
Yeah, you balance everything.
It's amazing. As I sit talking to you, I get the impression that there are perhaps two Gautam Singhanias. There's the fun-loving, challenge-daring, outgoing Gautam, and then there's the ruthless, decision-taking, cost-cutting Mr. Singhania. You sure you're not schizophrenic?
Well, I guess there's an aspiration to be the complete man, which is our line, and you try and do all different types of things and try to live with it.
You're pretty good at remembering the company slogan, aren't you?
You have to always remember it.
They say that Gautam Singhania changed the day he became managing director. Was that deliberate and consciously done, or was that in fact a reflection of the responsibilities you suddenly inherited?
I think the focus changed. I think people looked at you differently. One has been in this company for a long time. One has worked very hard, but the focus was different. The day you become managing director, the day you become chairman, the buck stops here. People look at you differently.
And you became conscious of that?
Well, it's not conscious. I think people became conscious of that. They looked at you differently. The decision was your decision.
So you're saying in a sense that you didn't change, people changed you by the fact that they looked at you differently?
It was a combination of both. When you are put in the position of managing director and chairman, you say the buck stops here. There's no fallback. You are responsible. When you were working under your father, there was yet that one step up. You live with the goods and the bads.
Is it a little risky, is it a little worrying when there is no one step up? You are that top step?
Well, technically, the buck stops here, but I yet have my father. I have a whole bunch of good advisors. I have good people with us.
You know, one of the difficult things that you have to handle is that today you have to be boss over people, many of whom are 20 years, sometimes even 30 years younger than you. How do you tackle that?
Well, you tend to address people as people, to treat them as human beings. Whether they're younger than you or older than you, they'll accept you if you treat them well. I've managed to develop good relations. I'm a people's person. I've developed good relationships with the people I work with, and we're almost as informal can be. But yet there are lines of discipline. So you don't need, you just pick up the, if you want to call me, you just pick up the phone and call me.
So you're saying the secret of mingling and running with people, whether they're older or younger, is to have an individual relationship with each and every one of them.
True. I mean, I believe anybody can buy the machines. It's the people that make the difference.
But you were 33 and even younger, 22, when you first had to establish man management, as they now call it. Was it easy? Did it come naturally to you?
I think it does. I am a people's person. I like people. I like my friends. I like going out. I like to meet new people.
So being outgoing helped?
Yes, it does.
Actually being a daredevil helps.
Well, if you put it that way.
You can break the ice.
Yeah, you can. I mean, if you are a people's person, you can. If you get along with people, it's the best.
So
I mean,
no matter how difficult the situation, no matter how old the person, you never hesitate to crack a joke.
well,
to
it doesn't have
establish-
to be crack a joke, but establish your conversation.
You've been married for 2 years. Why haven't you got any children? Are you a possessive husband, or are you just scared to be a father?
I guess we're both just caught up with our lives. I think too much is happening in my life. I've become managing director, chairman, got married in the last 2 years. I think little while.
A little while more?
Yep.
You're not ready for a child as yet?
Well,
Or is the child in you not ready to be a father as yet?
well, you'll have to wait and watch.
Let's look a bit into the future. You are chairman of Raymond's. You're only 33. Where would you like the company to be in 15, 20 years from now?
Well, in the short term, it's very difficult to say what we're going to do because we've done a significant amount of restructuring. But long term, certainly to be a global player. We want to take Raymond global. The dream is to make Raymond a company that India is proud of, that we are all proud of. And that is really the eventual dream.
And is that pinstriped suit a Raymond product?
Yes, it's part of the chairman's collection.
And do you ever wear anything other than Raymond clothes?
I'd be dishonest if I said no.
But you're not going to admit it more than that in public. What about yourself, Gautam? You're 33, you're at the very top of the ladder. Where do you go from now? I mean, do you just jump skywards and hope for the best, or what next?
Well, they're dreams. Like I said, the dreams to take this company forward, but I see certainly uncertain times, specifically over the next 6 months to a year. There's no great hurry. There's no tearing rush that you have to do this. Always, I mean, we don't know what the policies of the government are going to be or where this country is going to go over the next 5
So you take each day at a time? And time, in a sense, is on your side?
It's not each day at a time, but I think you're in a position today where you can afford the time.
Well, good luck, Gautam. And thank you for a wonderful interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you.